Hello everyone and welcome to this new lecture. Today we are talking about the stars and the planets. So, imagine that you are watching the space from a spaceship. What will you observe? You will observe the following, okay? The next three pictures. The very first one on the left, the world in which you live represents the surface of a very big sphere, so our world, and this sphere is called the Earth. Well, our Earth, or the Earth, with other planets are floating in an immense or wide space. So the space is very wide, you cannot imagine. So you'll find our ball is not just the only ball or the sphere. Third, there are shiny bodies floating in space called stars. So we'll basically talk about the definitions of the stars and the planets. So let's start by stars. What are stars? Stars, they are glowing or shining bodies with different sizes that lie in the space. So this is the definition of stars. Now, what characterizes the stars? How can we say that this thing or that stuff or whatever is in front of us is a star? So there are some characteristics of stars. The first one is they are bright, shining celestial bodies that rotate in the space. Well, the second thing is that they have different sizes, big, medium, and small. The third thing that they emit or radiate heat and light. They give out heat and light. So the big stars look very small to us. Why is that? Because they are very distant, very far, far away from us, like millions of kilometers. For example, to explain that the size of a distant body seems small, how can we describe, how can we say that the big thing or the big body, how does it appear small? Like this plane. As you see in the opposite photo, the flying plane seems smaller in size than the landing one, the one that's intending to fly. It became a little bit smaller. Actually, it's not a little bit, it's like a quarter of its size. So the flying one became smaller, and the landing one, because it's still near to us, it appears it's big, because the flying plane is far or distant from us than the landing one. So we can give reasons for why big stars appear smaller to us. Now we knew the story, so because they are very distant or far from us. And for this refreshing question, we got to complete the following sentence. Number one, which are shiny celestial bodies that rotate in space? Obviously, stars are shiny celestial bodies that rotate in the space. Number two, stars emit the basic things or the main things they emit, light and heat. And for number three, big stars look very small to us because they are far from us, very rare and far away. So let's talk about the solar system, okay? The solar system in which our planet is located consists of the following. Number one, the sun, which is the center of the solar system. Number two, the 8 planets. They are the planets or the bodies that revolve around the sun. Number three, moons. These moons revolve around some planets. Not all the planets have moons, some of them. 4. Other celestial bodies such as comets, asteroids, meteoroids, and meteors. And we will discuss this later. Now we're going to study the sun, the 8 planets, and the moon, which are related to us in this lesson or this lecture. So, for the sun, it's a star, a self-shining body, okay? And why we call the star a self-shining body? Because it radiates or emits heat and light. So this is the basic or the first characteristic of the sun. The second one, it lies in the center of the solar system. Number three, it's the biggest body in the solar system. 4, it's a medium-sized star, but it looks the biggest to us. And of course, why does this happen? Because it's the nearest star to us. Okay, if it's far away a little bit, it will look like a pin. So this is for the sun. What about the 8 planets? First of all, what's the definition of a planet? Planets, they are dark bodies that revolve around the sun in fixed orbits or paths. Okay, for our planets in our solar system, how our planets are arranged. So the arrangement of planets, according to the figure that you'll see now, to their distance from the sun, and we are beginning from the nearest to the furthest. This means from left to right. The first one we'll encounter near the sun is Mercury, after that Venus, then Earth, then Mars, after that Jupiter, Saturn, then Uranus and Neptune. So this is their arrangement from the sun. Now, if we arrange them, another arrangement, but this time according to their sizes. We'll start by the biggest. So beginning from the biggest to the smallest. What will we notice? We'll find that Jupiter is the biggest one, following Saturn, then Uranus, Neptune, Earth, Venus, Mars, and Mercury in the end. So, from the previous figure, or figures, from number 2 and the one in the previous page, we will conclude the following. The nearest or the closest planet to the sun is Mercury. The farthest planet from the sun and from the Earth is Neptune. The biggest planet is Jupiter. The smallest planet is Mercury. The nearest 2 planets to the Earth are Venus and Mars. And last, the 3rd planet away from the sun is the Earth, which is our planet. Now for a refreshing question. Arrange the following planets according to first thing, letter A, or the first requirement is their distance from the sun, and the second one, their sizes. And we got basically the 8 planets. So if we arrange them from their distance from the sun, we start by Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, then Neptune. And if we arrange them according to their sizes, we got Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Earth, Venus, Mars, and Mercury. And of course, mind the English of the student is having got like, it's not, well, lots of spelling mistakes, but it does not matter in our case because already the correct spelling is in the written one, not the handwriting, not the handwritten answers. The printed one are the ones that contain the correct answer. So for another refreshing question, complete. In the solar system, the biggest planet is Jupiter, while the biggest space body is the sun. Number 2, the nearest planet to the sun is Mercury, while Neptune is the farthest one, the very far. Now, what are the basic characteristics of the planets? Now we'll move to some other interesting story or other interesting stuff. Okay, let's have a specific characteristics of one characteristic of each planet. Of course, each planet has lots and lots of characteristics. When you grow up, you can study this in astronomy as much as you like. But here, let's focus on just one characteristic. Mercury. What's the most famous thing about Mercury? It's the nearest planet to the sun. Then, what about Venus? It's the most beautiful planet. Earth, it has 2 characteristics here. It's the planet where we live, and it's a watery planet because water occupies most of it. It's the only planet that has water, and water represents a huge amount of its volume. Then Mars, it's the red planet because its rocks contain iron. Then Jupiter is the biggest planet, or simply it's a giant, the biggest one. Saturn is the planet which has colored rings around it. Uranus, it's the cold planet. Neptune is the blue planet. And for a little bit of extra information here, read and learn. In the past, scientists classified Pluto as a planet in the solar system. while I was studying this during my school days, like 25, 30 years ago, Pluto was one of them. Unfortunately, I don't have my science book, but I remember that quite well, that Neptune was one and they were all 9 planets. But what happened? The International Astronomical Union, that was held in Prague Tower in 24th of August 2006, not old enough. What did they do? They decided that Pluto is excluded from the solar system because it's very small and its volume is less than 1/5 of the volume of the Earth. So they decided that it's not a planet, but it's still existing. Or simply, it's not among our solar system. Now for number 3, the moons. The basic characteristic about moons. What are moons? Moons are the followers of some planets and they revolve around them. The clearest example is the Earth where we live in. The moon revolves around the Earth and it's the nearest neighbor to us in space. Okay? It's the very close, or the closest something from the outer space is the moon. So what's the definition of the moon, or any moon? The moon, it's a dark body, revolves around the Earth. This is the definition of our moon, and reflects the sunlight falling on its surface. So it seems shiny. Now, can we do an activity to show that the moon seems bright, shiny in the sky? Yes, we can do an activity. You can even do this activity in your home. What you'll need, or the materials that you'll need, you will need small plastic ball. Number 2, foil paper. Number 3, pocket torch. And then the steps: simply 1, cover the ball with a piece of foil. In this case, the ball represents the moon. Then darken the class or the room where you are doing this experiment. Then turn on a pocket torch and direct it toward the ball. The pocket torch that you've got, just turn it on and direct it to the ball. What will happen? The pocket torch, in our case, represents the sun. The light from the torch is like the light from the sun. What are the obvious observations that you'll encounter? First thing, you can't see the ball in the dark, definitely, but when you can see this ball shiny after turning the torch on, or simply when the sunlight hits it. So the conclusion, that the moon is a dark body, but it seems shiny. Why it seems shiny? Because it reflects the sunlight falling on its surface. Now we can have like a little give reason, a simple logic stuff. The moon is dark body, but it seems bright, shiny, because it reflects the sunlight falling on its surface. So whatever you see on the moon, or because it appears at night, it's not because it emits light, because it just reflects the sunlight that falls on it. And for more interesting stuff, you can read and learn more. This little table shows the number of moons that revolve around the planets according to NASA website. So NASA, you can go to the website if you like, and NASA, they did lots of research and discoveries. They found the following about the moons of each planet. Mercury, Venus, both of them have no moons. Our planet Earth has just 1 moon. Mars has 2. Jupiter has 62. Can you imagine? Saturn has 60. Then Uranus has 27. And finally Neptune has 13. And for the last thing in this lecture, I think we'll do a comparison. Yes, if you're asked to do a comparison between the star, planet and the moon, you will find this interesting table. The definition of each of them: the star, it's a shiny body, while the planet, it's a dark body, and the moon, it's also a dark body. And for the star, it emits or radiates heat and light. For the planet, it doesn't emit heat or light. And for the moon, it reflects sunlight falling on it. Okay, this is just its basic function. And for the star, it rotates in the space, but the planet, it revolves in the space around the sun or the star. When you grow up, you'll find that the sun is not the only star that we've got. And moon, it revolves in the space around the planet. So if we want to give an example, for the star we have the sun, for the planet we've got the earth, and for the moon it's our moon that we have. And for a little review, the arrangement of planets, if you want to arrange them, number one, according to their distance from the sun, or simply beginning from the nearest to the farthest, we will find the following: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And for number two, if we want to arrange them according to their sizes, beginning from the biggest to the smallest, we'll find Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Earth, Venus, Mars, and Mercury. And to sum up some characteristics of the planets, or the characteristic of the planets, yes, for each planet we've got something that is famous for this planet. We've got Mercury is the nearest planet to the sun, Venus is the most beautiful planet, Earth is the planet where we live and is a watery planet because water occupies most of it. Mars is the red planet because its rocks contain iron. It has a lot of iron, so this is why it appears red. Jupiter is the biggest planet. Saturn is the planet which has colored rings around it. Uranus is the cold planet. And finally, Neptune is the blue planet. And thank you very much.